Imagine looking up and seeing the sky twist open into a giant eye. That's the vision I brought to life in this surreal Photoshop composition. In this video I'll show you exactly how I created it, from shaping the spiral clouds to adding every eerie cinematic detail, all step by step. Let's dive in. Now to make a spiral cloud we first need a perfect square crop. If it's not a square, the spiral won't be a perfect circle, and I don't want a sad squished vortex, so I cropped it into a square based on the look I wanted. Next head to filter, distort and polar coordinates. Select rectangular to polar, hit OK, and boom, we've got a spiral. But I wanted it to look deeper and longer, so I went back to filter, distort and pinch. This filter pinches from the center and gives it that stretch out tunnel feel. Set the amount you want and click OK. Then I adjusted the position slightly. To make the spiral blend more realistically, I use the clone stamp tool just to remove any hard edges and make the spiral look like a natural cloud formation. Now drag and drop the spiral onto the main composition. I'll adjust the size and position later based on where our subject goes. For the mountain top, I use the ever so thrilling pen tool. Yes, it's tedious, but nothing beats the clean edges it gives. I added a solid color for the background and cleaned up all the distracting edges. Then I dropped it in the mountain and resized it as needed. Now comes the subject cutout, and yes, the pen tool again, because clearly I have nothing better to do with my life. I clean up the background corners again, just like before. Now the subject looks nice and clean, so I resized and placed it where I wanted. To match the rock under the subject with the rest of the scene, I used a color balance adjustment. I adjusted the midtones, highlights and shadows until the rock turned slightly yellowish, and I masked the sharp edges to make it blend nicely. Still, I wasn't totally happy with it, so I tweaked the color balance even more until it was just barely acceptable to my inner perfectionist. Since the texture didn't match, I copied a nearby rock texture and clipped it to the subject's rock. Using the layer style dialog, I blended it in. Then I masked it out with a soft brush and adjusted the opacity until it didn't scream "Photoshop job!" Next, I enlarged the clouds, masked the edges, and used a soft brush to make the spiral look more like a tunnel. I repeated this step a few times until the gaps were filled. It created the illusion that the tunnel goes way back into the space. Now for a dramatic twist, I brought in an eye and placed it right in the middle of the cloud spiral. Instant mystery vibes, right? Then I resized it and lightly masked the edges to make it blend better. There was this weird glow on the eye which I removed using the clone stamp tool. To boost the drama, I changed the color of the clouds to orange using a hue saturation adjustment layer. I did the same thing with the eye to make everything feel cohesive. Since the core of the eye is the light source, I brightened it up using an exposure adjustment layer. Then I created a glow using the solid color adjustment layer and sent the blending to linear dodge add and brushed gently around it to make it radiate. I resized the eye a bit more to fit the overall layout, but the orange is too much at this point, so I reduced the glow and manually painted in the lighting. It's all about imagination where the light realistically hit. It's time to fix the lighting on the subject, so first of all I made everything dark, then I'll paint highlights on them where it is needed. First, highlights, I used a hue saturation layer with the colorized check, picked a highlight color and clipped an exposure layer on top. And I painted softly to bring in those glowing edges. Imagination is key here, just picture how the light would naturally hit. To amp it up, I added lightning bolts. I removed the unwanted background using the layer style box and kept only the bright lightning strikes. Then I resized and positioned them to my liking. I gave them a white glow using a solid color adjustment layer set to linear dodge, add and brush it on. Then I repeated the same steps to create the second lightning bolt. Since the eye is far away, I added a slight blur to it for depth. I also painted reflections of the lightning onto the eye. But something still felt empty, so I added meteor rocks flying toward the eye to sell the effect of pulling things in. I cut out the rocks, duplicated and resized them smaller as they go deeper into the tunnel. Then I adjusted the lighting based on the lightning bolts. Yes, even the tiny puny rocks got some attention. Then I added some blur to all of them as they go farther away. After that, I brought in these particle overlays and changed the blending mode to screen. Then use Ctrl-L to use the levels adjustment there and moving the sliders to really remove the unwanted parts. Then I just copy pasted them a few times here and there and made them barely visible. The eye edges still didn't blend right, so I used the clone stamp tool and added more clouds to cover it up. Finally, I added some blur to the clouds and eye for depth. And wrapped it up with a camera raw filter for a final cinematic touch. And in the end, it looks something like this.